Would you like to learn how to use your iPad to draw, to make something like this? We're going to use the Procreate app, and I'm going to show you how to make this today. We're going to make a screensaver for your phone. Hi, I'm Christy. I teach lettering and doodling, and my passion is connecting women through creativity and faith. I cannot wait to show you the things that I've learned on the iPad over the last several years and that I teach in my membership group. If you want to learn more about hand lettering, at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you my hand lettering books that come in digital and in print. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I did is I opened up Procreate. If you need to know more details about how to get started with Procreate, I have other videos for that. We're going to dive right in though. So I'm going to go to the plus sign here and I'm going to look. I already have mobile wallpaper here and I have it as 1920 by 1080 pixels. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to open it up and here I have it. This is the size of my screen. Now, I have my iPad turned this way because it fits in the camera better, but normally I would turn it the other way to design it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my little template, my idea sheet. It's not the exact size, so we're just going to kind of wing it as we go. And I really love the colors. Yellow is one of my favorite colors, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the background and pick a yellow that I like. That is not the color I like. Okay, that's looking better. How about that? Looks pretty good. Maybe a little warmer. Okay, so there we go. We've got our background. Easy peasy, right? The next thing I want to do is let's go ahead and I'm going to get my grid on. So if you go up to the wrench and you click on Canvas, it's actually called Drawing Guide. I think it used to be called Grid maybe. And there it is. Super easy. Now, if this is like way too fast for you, stop, watch, stop, watch, back up, watch. That's how I learned as I went. Okay, so now I'm ready to draw the pot. And I am not being super particular about this. I'm just having fun. So let's start off with drawing the pot across the top here. And I'm gonna hold it into place so it snaps into place. There we go. And then I'm gonna draw the bottom of the pot right here. And then let's angle this down. Okay, so now we have and something funky just happened. So I'm gonna back up. Pretend like that didn't happen. I don't know, sometimes it does that. Okay, hold it into place. So now I've got my pot. I'm also gonna make like a little ridge at the top of the pot. So let's do that. I'm gonna hold it into place and that did not work like I wanted it to. Okay, now we've got that. Perfect. Okay, the next thing I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and start drawing my leaves. You can draw any kind of leaves that you want. I'm just gonna draw, actually, I'm gonna make a new layer just in case I wanna make them bigger or smaller. I'll have them on a different layer. You can never go wrong. You can never go wrong putting things on different layers. You can go wrong putting too many things on one layer. So always just get yourself used to, I'm gonna make a new layer. Okay, let's see how small. Ooh, it's tiny, isn't it? Let's make this guy bigger. So I'm gonna make sure I'm on that layer. I'm gonna make it bigger. You can always make it smaller, but I want it bigger. Okay, new layer for the leaves. Any kind of leaves you want. Have some freedom, have some fun. The leaves that I drew on my template there is, I drew a prayer plant. And so the leaves are kind of fun and interesting. See how I'm almost going off the side? We don't want to do that, so I'm going to make it smaller in a minute. But I'm just making some oval shapes, different sizes. Like that, okay? And then now I want to do a little bit of design inside of them. So I'm going to put a vein in each one. I thought this would be a fun screensaver to do right now. Since it's spring, I just love what it says. I think that's really cute and funny. And the only other saying that I could think of that describes my plants is the Garden of Whedon, because that's what needs to happen all the time. All right, so now we're also going to do some little stripy lines. Look at that. See, don't get frustrated. Because you can see even someone who's been teaching for a long time still has problems. And I'm ignoring them. I need to figure out why it's doing that. So there we go. Easy, easy. You can do like a V shape if you want. Like a V. Sometimes that's easier. Like so. Have fun with it. Don't be too much of a perfectionist. That takes away a lot of the fun. You could do one as like a sample and then go back and make this your draft. Just get this sketched out. We have some simple shapes. Some ovals or actually more like a teardrop. And then we've got some V's. Okay, now looks pretty good except for it's all way too big, because when you put it on your phone, it's going to go ahead and go out. It's already a little bit too big, so you want to make it kind of smaller. So I'm going to get both layers and make them like so. How's that? Better. Okay. Let's go ahead and color it in. That's so fun to color it in. What I like to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take these two layers and I'm going to combine them, and I'm just going to squeeze them together, and then I'm going to duplicate. I always tell my membership, I tell them always duplicate and lock it and throw away the key, because you want to make sure that if anything happens, you've got it back there in that vault. Okay, let's decide what we want our pot to be like. I chose something like in between a red and a pink. But you pick what you want. Oops, why can't I put anything in there right now? What did I do? I was on the locked one, so at least we know the locked works. I'm going to drop this in there, and then if I want to, I can maybe do a little bit different color to differentiate those two. You can't see it on there. Now, what about those lines? Ew, what about those lines? Let's go back. How do I get rid of those little lines around there? I'm going to drop and I'm going to drag. Did you see that? Did you see that? I don't know if it'll fix it. Okay. I think this time it's going to fix it. Okay. But that's how you get it to go all the way in. You drop and you drag it over. Okay. That's called the color threshold. All right. Now let's get some green. I'm going to get 2 shades of green because that's what the prayer plant looks like. It's got multiple shades, and I am just going to pick a green, any green. And I've got that green under history, so I'm going to pick another green now. Let's see how that looks. It's not that different. Let's make it a little bit darker. That's better. Okay. Oh, it's looking good. Okay, so what you could do is you can go do all, if you want to drop the color in on all of them in one color, that's always a good idea. Whoops. I'll tell you what, if this isn't therapy, I don't know what is. Okay, I'm going to continue dropping color in, and then we'll get to the next step. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a design right inside the, on the top of the pot. I'm going to make some ridges. And I'm just going to go back with black and do that. Just draw some lines here for just a little bit more interest. And if I want to, I can go drop in some color. And you can see I'm not being a perfectionist about it because it's hand-drawn. It's hand-drawn. Now let's see, do I want to add some? We could do, let's see, let's do something that's maybe, let's do this pink and see what happens. It's hard to see on camera. How about, let's try a little bit more orange. That's better. It's more like a terracotta pot. If you want to do a terracotta pot, my words, terracotta pot, then you could do the whole thing kind of a golden color. Okay, that's fun. I like all just the different design and all. Okay, you could go in and fill in more leaves. I probably would do that. It looks a little sparse, so you could go in and fill more leaves, but let's go ahead and get to the lettering. I'm going to start a new layer. Always start a new layer. And then I'm going to go to a brush that is called, it's under inking, and it's called a studio pen. Studio pen, okay? If you don't have studio pen, play around, find something else that's pressure sensitive. You know it's pressure sensitive if it has a little thin line and it goes thick and it goes thin. What does pressure sensitive mean? It means whenever I put pressure down, it's going to get thicker, and when I lift up, it's going to get lighter. Let me show you with a bigger size, okay? I'm going to press down and I'm going to lift up. So see how the pressure, and sometimes people say, well, mine's not working. Sometimes if you have a stylus that's not the Apple Pencil, it may not work. So that would be my first thought was check that. Okay, you ready for lettering? So lettering might be intimidating to you, and I get it. I just want you to have fun, okay? So we're gonna do spring has sprung, so I wet my plants. If you look in the template there, or the sample, I did a lot of fun swirlies. I did, script, and I did some print. I did uppercase, lowercase, just mix it all up. And we are going to first write out the words, and then we're going to put a bubble around it, okay? I want to make sure I'm on a new layer. Always do a new layer. And I'm just going to have fun. And if I press down hard, I'm going to make a thick line. So this is what you call brush lettering. Now look how giant I wrote. We don't want it that giant. So we can either make it smaller, and sometimes when you make it smaller, it'll pixelate. So I suggest starting off more of the size that you want it. I still will adjust it though, I know I will. Okay, spring. And I'm just pressing down every time I go down. Brush lettering is when you go down, it's thick. When you go up, it's light pressure. See how I went light up? I have a really heavy hand, so that's the hard part for me. Okay, spring, I have a heavy hand, so I always write really, really big. I'm going to move this over. Spring has, and so I'm going to make this a smaller font or a smaller size because I can see on my template I wrote it smaller. Spring has sprung. Now, notice how I did sprung. I fit it around underneath that G. So let's do sprung. Spring has sprung, so I wet my plants. Let's go over here and fill in, make this little so. I wet Now, if I misspell something, you should feel at home because it happens all the time. Okay, let me move this up a little bit. It's not where it's going to be. I'm just trying to get it, the placement, the way I want it. Okay, if you want to, you could do an exclamation point, period, nothing. It's up to you. Okay, now there's a lot of empty space right here. That's not a big deal, but what if I kind of want to fill that in a little bit? I think I'm going to go back up here and erase some of this, or maybe even erase, we'll see. Sometimes it's better if you just erase the whole word. We'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to go back to my other brush. Oh, I'm already on Studio Pen. I never did change it. Spring. This is hard. It's hard to stick that in there. It's better to just redo. But for demonstration purposes, you see, you get it. If you want to add some more fun swirls, you can always do that. Now, let's look at it. What do we need to do? I want to make this a lot smaller. I want to move this down. So we're going to move this down first. We're going to move this down. Again, when this is on your phone, it's going to, let me see what I have on my phone right now. Okay, so here's one that I made. And you want to make it small enough to where there's space around it for you to see. Does that make sense? So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller than I think I need to. And because I'm doing my bubble around the words, I want to make sure I have plenty of room. Okay? All right, next, let's go ahead and do our bubble. So we're going to make a whole new layer, and this layer is going to need to go underneath our words. Why? I'll show you why. What if we don't do that? If we don't do that, pick a color similar to that. It's going to cover up our words, right? So we don't want to do that. So we want to take that layer and slide it right underneath. And there we go. I don't love that blue. I like the blue that I used in the sample, but I don't know. Well, if I had that there, I could do. Okay, this is good. We'll be fine. Okay, now actually it's a little more turquoisey. A little bit darker. What I really like about the original is that it has white letters. I think the white pops out better. So let's change that. So what we want to do is we want to go to the layers, and we're going to go to the letters, okay? And when I click on this, I'm going to click select, and it's going to change to whatever color is right here, okay? Right now it's blue. Let's just go ahead and change it to white because we know we're going to want it white. An easy trick to switch your color to white is you double click up here in the corner. Black, double click down here in the corner, and it'll get you right to the color, to the, there we go. Okay, there's white. So I'm going to click on Sprung, the layer, and it turned it white. Okay, now it's not showing up amazingly, but that's because I haven't put a shadow behind it. So let's do that. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to make it black. I selected, now I'm going to come over here and make it black. Okay, it's starting to show up a little bit better. Let me tap, tap, tap. Much, much better. I still think the background's a little too bright for my taste, so I can keep playing with it. I could get the sample, the template, and put it on here. It's still a little bit. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm really distracted by all the grid lines, so I like to take that off. The drawing guide, and then I also would probably add more leaves or make them bigger, but just for fun, this is like a cloud and it's like raining on the plant, so let's do some little raindrops. Okay, just gonna make this kind of come down and rain on the plants. Just going to take that blue and drop color in here. Now, if you do want to learn more about Procreate and you take my beginner free classes, I do have a course and a membership that you can like inquire about. So just let me know if you're interested in that. I went ahead and added more leaves, kind of played with the blue a little bit more. But now I'm going to show you how to put it onto your phone, how to save it and then upload it. Are you ready? But I do think I need to make the words a little bit smaller. Let's do that real quick, and you'll see why. I'm going to take, I'm going to take all the layers because otherwise it's going to mess something up. And you want to clean up everything too. So if you look right here, I've got a mess right there. So we just want to clean that up. Take your time, go around and clean things up. All right, you ready? So now we're going to go to the wrench and go to share, okay? Then I'm gonna take share and go to JPEG. Now, I have an iPhone, so everything kind of works together. It's really easy. So I'm just going to have this airdrop to my phone. Otherwise, you can download it as a picture, send it to yourself, all the things. But I'm going to do iPhone, and it's going to pull up on here. No, it's not. That's because I have my phone locked. Hold on. Now it popped up. Okay, there it is. So now what I do is I go to my photos, and then I click on my last photo, and then I click on this little arrow thing, and then I go down to use as wallpaper. Okay, and now I have it, and I can kind of play around how I want it. And that's why you don't want it too big, because sometimes it'll come up on the screen. You can't make it much smaller. So, and you get it where you want it, and you just put set, and I'm going to set it to both screens, and now you have it on your phone. So whenever you open your phone, that's what you'll see. Join me next month. We're going to do a patriotic screensaver that you can use for June and July. So I'm doing a new series where I'm going to do a wallpaper a month, the second Wednesday of every month. So we're going to call it Wallpaper Wednesday. Now I promised to share with you my hand lettering book. So here's the digital one. This is what it looks like when you purchase it. It has all the different drills, all the different things that you can play with and learn as you go. Practice sheets, and it's easy to practice right on top of it. Again, for this, we're going to need a pressure sensitive brush. So I'm using a studio pen under inking, and I'm going to do an upstroke. So I want that semi-thin. Anytime I go up, I want it thin, okay? And anytime I go down, I'm going to put more pressure on it. I'm going to make it thick. That's what makes brush lettering so special, because you've got the thin and the thick lines, right? And then as you go on, you're going to learn more strokes. And the reason we do these strokes is because we put the strokes together to make letters. So you're not actually writing, you are hand lettering, okay? Let me show you a loop. So we go up light, heavy down. Up light, heavy down. What do we do with these strokes? We can put them together like so. There's a loop. Oops, there's a loop. And then we do the overturn. So see how we put the shapes together. So in this book, you'll be able to do the alphabet. You'll have lots of practice pages. In the very back, there will be some templates that you can trace and play with. You're going to learn how to do foligraphy. You're going to learn how to take the same letter but write it in different ways. So this is the same book but in print. So you can, I recommend using tracing paper, because it's really nice to be able, some people don't like to mark in their book. So get some tracing paper, trace over it. I recommend a brush pen. If you purchase from me, your book comes with a brush pen, my favorite one, and this is called a pentel flexible tip. So hopefully you're inspired and excited to learn how to hand letter. You can get the links on how to purchase my books down in the description. Okay, this is I call it my blue book because it's just easier to remember. I've got a red book, a blue book, and then this one I call purple. So in this book, Hand Letter, Doodle, and Pray, it's in color, and that's one thing I love about it. And it's got so many great ideas of things that you can do for the holidays. It also goes over different greetings that you can use for card making or signs or whatever you want to, whatever you want to write. I love this little chapel. Lots of little doodle ideas. I love doodling. And then more lettering styles. And so the thing about this lettering is you have more practice pages on different styles of lettering, more creative lettering. Whereas the first book, the red one, is more brush lettering. And so this one has like block lettering, all the fun things. So that's my second book. You can also get it on the iPad, and here's just a few of the sample pages for that. Same thing exactly as the printed book. And lastly, this book is really special because it is for those who are like, I'm not sure where to transition from my thin stroke to my thick stroke. So in this book, it's color coded. So whenever let's see if you can see it on the screen very well. Whenever it's a pink line, you make an upstroke, make a thin stroke. And every time you go down, you make a thick stroke. And so that helps a lot of people know when to transition. And this one is my cheat sheet book. Let me show you it on my iPad. Okay, so here's the cheat sheet book on my iPad. And once again, it's got the different templates for you to practice. You know what's really cool about this one is I also offer cheat sheet brush, okay? And I'm gonna make the underneath lighter so we can still see what we're doing. Okay, here we go. When you press down, it's gonna change color. When you lift up, it changes color. So you know when you do purple, you're putting enough pressure on it, right? And the only reason it's blue and purple is because I have blue selected right here. If I had a different color selected here, then it would have different results. So let's see what this would do. Heavy down, light up, heavy down, light up. See how it transitions? Heavy down, light up, okay? That is really fun. That's a cheat sheet brush that you can purchase separately, but it works with it works with anything, but it works great with the cheat sheet book. Oh, before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss a thing.